To begin, making 2 to 3 mistakes in math, that's really good actually. What it just means is that since you're saying you're making dumb mistakes, I'm guessing that you're not having really any trouble with math. It just means you have to be more careful when you solve questions. Just make sure you identify keywords and just try not to miss out on any like information that's given because sometimes you can fall into that trap. Now, as far as reading and writing is considered, um, making 7 to 8 mistakes in reading, the first thing I would recommend is you have to actually read the passages first because typically the more questions you practice, um, and if you're not really getting anywhere, you should really change your strategies. So I would first start with reading the passage before answering anything. So key tip I can offer is read the passage first. Try to summarize each passage. Think about what questions they could ask you um, for the reading passage because it's pretty similar. They could ask you about specific information about the lines or like the author's intent or what this purpose is. There's a lot of similarities, and you just have to find a connection. And once you get used to all these questions, then it's just really depending on how you would interpret um, the passage. So if English isn't your first language, I would start with really going with a personal tutor, and you should try to use as much vocabulary as you can. Like try to learn as the basic words first, and then like move on from there. As far as the writing passage is considered, uh, in terms of the writing section, um, I think grammatical mistakes aren't that, that hard. You have to start with considering reading the sentence yourself and thinking if it sounds right or not, and that's the way to start. The next step is to think about any modifiers that sound wrong. There are some terms that you have to consider, like parallelism. There's also noun modifiers and pronouns. You have to consider what each pronoun could refer to, and it could be wrong. So, for example, he hate games. So, hate, you have to put an S in there. It's just a grammatical rule. So, he would be considered the third person. And you have to add an S to the verb itself. So, that's known as a subject verb agreement. And those grammatical rules is something that you should be able to learn. You can purchase books from Barron's. You could also purchase book from uh, McGraw-Hill, which you could get from Barnes and Nobles or from Amazon itself. And if anything, I would recommend making sure to get SAT vocabulary books as well because there is a bunch of vocabulary and it could throw you off pretty badly. But you should first master the basics of the language before moving on to the more advanced material. That's all I can say. And good luck with your SAT. And hopefully this helps you.